to Busted Speakers. Today we're reviewing Pain of Salvation's In the Passing Light of Day. I'm Kush.
I'm Alex.
I'm Cam.
And Pain of Salvation are a veteran progressive metal band from Sweden, and this is their 10th studio album. And this was a roller coaster of an album. I really enjoyed listening to it from front to end. And I think that they had a lot of weird influences, but overall they did make it into one cohesive album, and it just worked out really well for them.
This is the first time I've ever heard them. I've heard of them, but I've never listened to them, and wow, I am seriously impressed. When I first heard of the genre, progressive metal, this is what I wanted it to sound like, because in 2013 I'd heard the term progressive metal, and it was just when I was getting into Metallica, and progressive rock was a pre-existing favourite genre of mine from like Genesis, Yes, even Pink Floyd and some other stuff, and I was just getting into metal, so combine the two, wow, that could be the best thing literally in music. Well, it's not, it isn't most of the time. It's like Dream Theater, which I do like, but they have their problems, and most progressive metal I've heard really is just the progressive rock of today, just like how hard rock is basically metal today. You don't get that distinction anymore, but this comes close to the excitement I thought I'd get when I first heard about progressive metal as a genre.
Yeah, so like Jesus Christ, the first song is a 10-minute anthem, and just the heavy off-kilter guitars and the aggressive drumming, and it just really grabs you from the beginning.
When I heard this, man, I knew I was in for a good time. Hey.
Yeah, so then they had the screaming and whispered vocals just mix and matching, and it was just it just catches you, and it just destroys you, because it's such a 10-minute song. Come on, like
I know.
Very few bands can pull off a song for that long.
I know, and they did it like twice on here.
Yeah, and the song like technically ends like 3 times. There's like 3 places in the song that I could specify a different ending point, but they just kept going and going and going, and the song was about death and what people would do for staying alive for another day, and
yeah.
It's just
lyric.
I think that's probably my favorite song on the album. It's the first song, because it just catches you in such a way, and it just takes you on a ride. It's a good song.
I found some other songs on it that I preferred more to this, but wow, I agree completely. It's just amazing. The vocalist has such a great range, like from the whispers and building up to the shouts.
Yeah, for sure.
And in some ways, he actually sounds a bit androgynous on some parts. Like, he sounds not like specifically female, but he doesn't sound like
as
distinctly
masculine,
male either.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
That would be androgynous, wouldn't it? That's what it means. But yeah, and I just love this song. Great playing. It's not my favourite, but definitely 10-minute song like this, wow.
Yeah, besides that, I like the song Silent Gold. It had wonderful lyrics and storytelling on that song. Full Throttle Tribe was another good song I liked. That song I like because it would pick up, and you're like, something's about to happen, and then it slows down, and then it picks up, and something's about to happen, and then it just slows down. And like, it has you on the edge of your seat, and then finally the chorus hits, and the chorus was so catchy. Oh, I love that song.
I'm not gonna lie, it's time for some controversial difference of opinion, because those were my 2 least favourites.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, I'll say why. Silent Gold, right? It's good, but it's like a bit too slight for me. We just heard their 10-minute song. We just heard 2 great like pop metal. That's not a real genre, but metal that's really catchy. May as well be pop. Meaningless and what was the other one?
Tongue of God.
Yeah, they were really good. Then this one's a bit too slight. It's the only song that I liked it because it wasn't predictable, but it felt like a section to a progressive metal song, a 10-minute one. You know how you said the first song's like 3 different parts, like it ends?
Yeah.
This feels like one of those parts that they hadn't put into one, and it is well produced, like as is. But if you listen to it by itself, it isn't. It doesn't work for me. If you know what I mean, it feels like the climax of a 10-minute progressive metal song. It's just. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to call it filler because it is good, but I don't know. I think they could have worked this into a long song for me.
How about a Full Throttle Tribe? You didn't like that one?
Okay. I really liked the chorus because it reminded me of Mastodon. You know,
Yeah,
this has been my try, my fantasy. Yep, I'll be their new vocalist for that effort. But I like. It sounds like Mastodon because he has the same lethargic, aged vocals, sung with high energy that they do. But then, I don't know. It's kind of flawed because it has a delayed drum outro and the keyboard section is almost too quiet. I don't know. It sounds like they hadn't. It doesn't sound as good to me as the other ones. I don't know. It just goes on too long. I don't think they had enough to justify this one's length.
Yeah. So
So the thing that made you excited, the parts where it was quiet and you didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't like those parts because because I didn't know what was going to happen.
I guess I kind of like being held in mystery though. It's kind of interesting. But besides that, Angels of Broken Things, The Taming of a Beast, If This Is the End, they were good songs, but I felt like they were good. They were definitely good songs, but there was nothing super distinctive about them. And I felt like those three kind of sounded a little similar, but especially I really liked If This Is the End, and they had some sort of like harmonica type instrument in the back, and that was really interesting, and I thought it was really cool. And the vocals reminded me of Hurt by Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I know. It had the same sort of shaky, like as if the song was going to break down at any point type of vocal.
And it almost had like a country, almost a country vocal, a country vibe. And I that song was really good. But I think the other two were still very good songs. But just between those two, they kind of sounded similar to me. I don't know about, maybe I have to listen again.
Okay, well, I love those songs. If This Is the End, that's my jam, right? Okay, because I really like just these slow folk songs like this that feel like they could break apart at any point, a bit like Sun Kill Moon or Red House Painters. You know, whatever Mark Kozelek is doing, you know, stuff like that. Long folk songs that's you don't know. They just sound as if the guy isn't sober or is sober, but could break apart at any moment. Alright, this is weird because, you know, Taming of a Beast is another song, but this song feels like he's trying to contain a beast, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it feels like he's trying to contain a beast, and when the loud guitars and drums chime in at some point, it feels like he lets it out for a moment, and then because it gets really loud suddenly, and then it like strips back a bit, and it feels like he captured it a bit again, but then at the end it's just loud for the rest, so it feels like it is the end, you know. That's just my very abstract and very wrong interpretation of that song.
Yeah, so now the only song I didn't like on the album at all was Reasons.
Say it, brother.
Okay, I actually kind of like this song, so this is interesting.
So with Reasons, I felt like they had a lot of alternative metal influences, like Limp Bizkit or Papa Roach, something like that. And it just sounds generic and done with very little effort. And I felt like the instrumentation didn't really match the vocals, and that song was just not really pleasant to listen to, especially with all the other songs they put on this record.
Okay, I'm a bit of a hypocrite here because the reason I didn't like Full Throttle Tribe was because of the parts where I didn't know what was going to happen. I like this song because I did not know what I was listening to. I couldn't believe it. It sounded like it would be thrash influenced, but then there's like a weird barbershop quartet bit.
That's exactly. I wrote that in my notes. So the vocals gave me a weird
stealing
barbershop
my notes.
quartet vibe.
Look, I liked it because it's not a normal song. Full Throttle Tribe sounded like it was mainly like conceived that they were going to make it like that, and the chorus was really well done. Reasons sounded like a dodgy song that they hadn't really thought about. They just went in the studio and rocked it out. And like I say, I like it because it's not a normal song. I had no idea where it was going to go, and I appreciate songs like that. As long as they're not too ridiculous. That's probably why I didn't like Full Throttle Tribe, because I did like it, but it was a bit too ridiculous. I like the countdown of his reasons why he hates someone, because unlike that Miley Cyrus song, was it 7 Reasons Why I Hate You? This actually felt like he actually had reasons why he hated this person. He was saying them really loudly with real fury. But then there's a bit where he says the reasons why she doesn't like him. So it's not a misogynistic view of the woman. He's admitting his own flaws. Kind of grounds the hook into the dirt, I'll admit that. But I like it weirdly. I can't justify why more than that, but I really didn't mind it.
Yeah, besides that, I think every other song was just really engaging and a roller coaster to listen to. I really liked it.
I really liked my favourite song was definitely Meaningless. I don't know how they created the opening to that. You know what I mean? The weird, I'll say world music lazily, sounded Eastern.
Yeah, I did mention the intro was kind of odd, and I've listened to Pain of Salvation before, and this is nothing that they've done before. The other things they've had hints at it or attempted in the past, but this one they've never really tried, and I was really just blown away that they could have done something.
I've never heard anything like this before. I don't know. It's like they're trying to incorporate a weird world music vibe to the start. The only thing I don't, the rest of it's a really perfect metal song, and I wish they incorporated it more into the main song, because it comes back towards the end, at the fade out bit.
Yeah, I could say that too.
Yeah, but I still think this is one of the best metal songs I've heard this decade. Meaningless.
Well,
I've heard.
That's a bold statement.
Well, the last one I've heard actually came out in 2015, which was Shock Me by Baroness, which came out right at the end. And yeah, there was some good metal in 2016, Metallica's one was okay. Megadeth had a reasonable one, and that's about all I heard, because I wasn't...
I don't know how much of it. I like a lot of metal, so I Dillinger Escape Plan is pretty good, and what was that? Was it Moonwind or something like that? Had a really good album. I don't know. I don't know. I do listen to a lot of metal, so I came into this because the last couple records were just okay for me, but I felt like they really pulled their shit together and made a really good album for this one. Good.
I am salivating, not literally, but I may as well be, to hear the rest of their discography based on this. And I need to look into more Eastern influenced metal, Meaningless, because that was truly eye-opening to me, that something could sound like that. I love stuff like that. I love meshes of genres that aren't conventional. That that's not a genre, that song.
Yeah, we also...
You could say experimental metal probably, but man, it's so different.
We also skipped over the last song, the 15-minute ballad.
Oh, yeah.
So that song, I really enjoyed it. The lyrics were descriptive, enticing, and the squeaky acoustic, I think, right? That was a song with the acoustics, and
it didn't have that.
They weren't super clean. You can hear them just plucking at the strings. The only problem was that because it was 15 minutes, it got kind of repetitive, because the first song was 10 minutes, but they had a lot of things going on, a lot of different sounds. This one, they had less sounds that were dragged out a little bit longer, each of them, and that's the only complaint I have about that song, but it was still a really good closer to the album.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Taming of a Beast was really good. That could have closed the album. All the great keyboard playing on that one, and the vocals. It has a really hard core part, the contrast on that song. And we've already talked about If This Is the End, but that could have been a really amazing closer.
I thought If This Is the End would have been a better close. personally.
It may be actually like a postlude, but I think The Passing Light of Day is one of the most epic songs I've ever heard. Using that term quite liberally, and not in the epic fail, liberal use of it that people use on the internet. This is one of the best melodies of a metal song I've ever heard. It sent me on a big trip. It's really beautiful, and it highlights all the positive things I've come to love about this band in the last few days. It's like 15 minutes of glorious pop metal. Probably comes close. This song's probably is the song that I thought progressive metal would sound like when I first heard about the genre, and some other songs on here too, like the first song. But when I heard this, it was like 15-year-old me having his wish come true. And how many albums can you say do that for you?
It was it was a really phenomenal album.
It was. Cam, any stuff?
Words? I know we've been like hogging the mic because.
Well, it's through consent though.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go off a bit here. Longtime listeners may remember way back to our first week of podcasts when I declared that I don't really understand hip hop well enough to talk about the newest Run the Jewels album, and if there's any big major mainstream genre where I'm more useless than hip hop, it's probably metal. I have fewer token metal albums than token hip hop albums, but I am open to finding metal that I can enjoy. And I did like this album, but there were a handful of things that didn't work for me. For one thing, I agree with Kush about Reasons. I just thought that the lyrics were really bad. Like, I don't know, like, they don't seem to be, like, great or especially deep lyrics, at least on this album anyway, but, at least the lyrics aren't silly, and they're sung with enough conviction that I can give them a pass, but Reasons was just too much. And for some reason I didn't think it really fit the sound of the album, but I can't really explain why. But
yeah, I gave my reasons why I like that, but yeah, it actually does not fit the sound of the album. Yeah,
and I don't know what this says about me, my opinions of metal, or just the band itself, or anything like that, but I actually kind of like the less metal songs on the album. Because there were some that were softer than others, and they did a lot of things with polyrhythms on this album that just didn't really work for me. Like, they just seemed a little, like, just hollow and ineffective.
I mean, metal is definitely an acquired taste for most people. Like, you can't just like jump into a metal album and just assume to like it, because firstly, it is very, very harsh and very aggressive, and so if you don't like that, then you're not gonna like a metal album. But it's definitely something that takes time to get used to, and especially if you haven't heard a lot of metal originally or haven't tried, it's gonna be tougher to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, the harshness wasn't a problem for me, and this didn't even seem all that harsh. Like, you mentioned Dillinger Escape Plan, I bought Miss Machine a couple years ago just because I'd heard good things about them, and I don't think I finished that album to this day. But I was able to get through this, and I did enjoy it. There are elements of it that I like, and just some things didn't work as well for me, but I actually, I think my favorite probably would have been the closer, the title track, just because I thought that it built really well. It started, nice and soft, and just gradually got bigger and louder, and I really like that one. So I might listen to more Pain and Salvation in the future, but
yeah. So what would you rate it, Alex?
I'm gonna give this an 8. I really loved it. Apart from Silent Gold and Full Throttle Tribe, which I liked parts of it a lot, Like, some parts of those I didn't jive with me too much, but overall I thought this is one of the most exciting, invigorating, beautiful sounding metal albums I've heard in years almost. So 8 from me.
How about you, Cam? You want to give this a rating? Or
Yeah, I can safely give it a 7. If I was more into metal like you guys, I probably would find more to appreciate about it, and it's probably going to rise in my opinion, my rankings. If I listen to it more, listen to them more. But for right now, as someone who doesn't fully love metal, I can still say this was a good album that I could recommend to people.
yeah, I gave it a 7.5. So for me to give it an 8, I have to enjoy every song, and just because I didn't like Reasons as much, I couldn't give it an 8. But 7.5 is one hell of a score, so I think it's a really good album too.
Yeah. Well, I did like. I technically liked every song. Like, I wasn't crazy about the 2 I mentioned there, but I still at least vaguely like them, or didn't hate them, or I didn't even find them average. I liked them. I wouldn't skip them. So that's why I would give it an 8.
I think Reasons is the only one I didn't save to my playlist. I think.
No, why? I don't know why I like it. It's weird. Because I've clearly got I just have questionable taste in some regards. Because the thing with the album was that it was pretty predictable in some places.
I'll definitely give it a second shot.
It didn't surprise me like that much in some places on half the songs. Like, I could, like, if it was quiet, I knew it was going to get loud. But that song, I didn't know what it was doing. So just for that, and giving me a laugh, because I like a laugh, I liked it. So, yeah.
I mean, if that's it, then thanks for tuning in to Busted Speakers. Let us know what you think about the album in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And check us out on social media. There's tons of things for you guys over there too.